Hi everyone, after shooting my last video or while shooting my last video, I was thinking about making this video about ways of traveling light while carrying fragrances with you. That's why in this video we're going to talk about 5 fragrance tips for traveling light. I also have an honorable mention, and it's just an honorable mention because I've checked on Ferrari's website, and from what I've seen they are not producing these kind of phone cases anymore. It's not just a phone case, it also has an atomizer, and of course inside it you will find a Ferrari fragrance. This is only for iPhone 6 or 6s. You're not really going to make your phone look bulky with it unless you're a fragrance freak like I am, and that's why many people probably didn't go crazy for this kind of invention. Still, a nice thing to have in your collection if you're a fragrance freak slash fragrance addict like I am, and of course if you get lucky finding one of these. Now let's start with the fragrance tips for traveling light, and the most common ways is fragrance decants. Now fragrance decants means portioning your full fragrance bottle into smaller sizes. This one is a 12 milliliter size and it's glass made. I prefer the ones that are glass made because they are preserving the fragrance better. Now I'm not going to talk about how to decant a fragrance, but if you want to do it, there are tutorials on YouTube, and there's one from Chaos Fragrances which is very informative and very well explained. Tip number 4, of course, this one will be the less common way of traveling light with your fragrances. I'm talking about fragrance miniatures. And basically, fragrance miniatures are smaller sized bottles of the regular full-size 100 milliliter bottles. Most of the time, the miniatures will come in the size of 5 milliliters. The only issue with them is that they don't have an atomizer. So most of the time, you'll find yourself applying from one of these miniature bottles by putting the tip of your finger on the top of the bottle, turning it upside down, and then with the tip of your finger applying on the spots that you want to wear the fragrance. Tip number 3, and this is my favorite one, not because I prefer fragrance oils instead of regular sprayable fragrances, but because, for example, you want to travel to the seaside and you want to get into the water, you want to swim, the fragrance oil will stay on your skin better than the regular sprayable fragrance. There are lots of companies producing fragrance oils. Some of their bottles will have a roller ball, which will make it easier for you to apply on the skin. Some of them will not have it, and you will have to just put some drops of oil on the skin and then just rub it and spread it where you want to have the fragrance. Tip number 2. This is probably the most no-brainer way of traveling with your fragrances. It's the travel spray or the spray pen. Now, these things are made specifically for traveling with your fragrance. Some of them will offer the possibility of changing the supply of fragrance, and some of them will not, meaning that you'll have to buy the whole thing again. And some of them will offer the possibility of refilling the supply. But here's where another problem appears. If you want to put another fragrance inside it, you will have to wash the supply because you cannot mix two fragrances. But if you're planning to use it for just one fragrance, then this is probably the easiest way of traveling light with your travel spray or travel spray. And fragrance tip number 1, and probably the most overlooked way of traveling light with your fragrances, the fragrance samples. Probably many of you own fragrance samples. You get them from your friends, you get them from the store, and why not carry them with you when you want to travel light? Because they come in 1 milliliter size, 2 milliliter, 3 milliliter, it doesn't matter. As long as they are small and as long as you can carry them with you easily, they are a viable option. And the 1 ml size will last you either 1 or 2 days, depending on how much fragrance you want to apply and of course on the strength of the fragrance. The others of course will last you longer. But if you are the kind of girl or guy who wants to put a lot of fragrance on his skin or on her skin, you can take multiple samples with you and you can put them in a plastic bag, seal them, and there you go. There's no problem with the security check. And that was it, everyone. I'm pretty sure that if you want to travel light and carry fragrances with you, one of these 5 options will do for you, because all of them are viable, and all I want for you is just to keep smelling great.